What is as the maintenance supervisor, what is your main focus, main job here at Northwest?
Main focus is the students, of course, and then we receive corrective work orders and PM work orders. The corrective work orders come in, and we look at those, whether the priority of them. Students' rooms and stuff come first, generally. Then we'll look at them and say, yeah, this one's a little bit over this one, so we're going to hit this one first, and then work our way down through. Then academics, PMs are a very critical world for us. Our PM work orders will go through, grease the motors, the bearings, change the belts, change the filters, look at the equipment, look at the age of it, kind of estimate, this one may be 30 years old. We kind of went out over the life expectancy of it, so we'll look about trying to get it replaced.
And on your average day, what is your average day like, work-wise, whether you, get up early, how do you?
Average day, if things are going fairly smooth in the maintenance world, generally here by about 7:30 in the morning and leave anywhere 5:30. Typically what we're doing is changing light bulbs, ballast, working on toilets if they're backed up, changing the wax rings, filters on the PM side, going through a lot of students in their rooms. Fan coil units may be blowing cold air in the wintertime, so we've got to go through and bleed the air out of it to get that hot water loop to go through the system. Changing fan coil motors, just kind of variety. The locksmith shop, he's mainly making new keys, new fobs, checking to see if the fob systems are working correctly with the readers with the fobs. So that's pretty much a typical day.
Okay. And whenever we get, bad weather, as we do up in Northwest, the severe cold, the snow, thunderstorms, stuff like that, how does that affect your work and then those who you work with?
Mainly what it affects with us is we'll look at the temperatures and see what we're doing, see how much snow we're going to be getting, or snow, ice, rain, whatever it is. We'll start making plans for that night and into the next day. We'll start getting materials and stuff ready. We have 2 generators sitting in here for emergency power in the wintertime at all times. That way we know they're warm, they're going to start. Those are mainly used for the Union building on the food and down for the pump station on 4th Street, so we can maintain water in case we lose power with our pumps. We'll start putting things a little bit closer in the shop. We'll pull about 4 maintenance vehicles inside, have them ready to roll if somebody gets called into the night. That way we're not scraping the ice off the windshields. This other side of the shop, we have 2 snow trucks ready to go and a loader for snow. So we kind of prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
And so on a typical, bad weather day, how early do you would say do you all get up and get out there, with the salt, preparing for that weather?
That varies on the situation. I know there's been times we've been in here starting 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. If it's a lot of snow, like way back in the late 90s, we had a crew in here, and I was mainly that crew at the time when I worked on grounds. I was out here by myself on sidewalks and streets and stuff, keeping stuff open. Most generally about 5 o'clock in the morning. There'll be a few guys come in from maintenance and grounds. They'll start on the streets and the main sidewalks from like the buildings to the Union, and then from Union out to the dorms. That's where they'll concentrate on starting. And then a lot of the guys will start at 8. We'll do maintenance stuff, and then grounds. A lot of the grounds guys come in early, and we'll actually push more snow than what we will. But they hit their 8 hours. We may keep them just a little bit longer, or we ship them home, and we'll have it scheduled out to where this guy may come in at 6 o'clock in the morning. He's going to work his 8. He's going to go home and rest. This guy here is going to come in a little bit later that day to cover that and keep going that way. So it's kind of a schedule, and so many guys are set up to where they need to go. They're set up in zones the way the university is, and they are dedicated. This is your area. This guy over here, this is your area. You're on sidewalks. This guy's on streets. So it's kind of a scheduled type event for us. So we keep a real close eye on the weather.
And would you say, how many times would you say you check the weather, daily, weekly, or something like that?
Personally, myself, I check it about every day. Not only for storms and stuff, but on my department, we take care of all the outside lighting. So we kind of watch for it. If we got a fairly decent day where the wind's not blowing a lot, we can get up in a bucket truck to work on the light poles and stuff. So it's about an everyday check for me. Pretty sure grounds is the same way. Shane Baumgard in charge of the grounds department. So we keep a pretty close eye on it.
And you said, earlier you prioritize the
Mm-hmm.
work orders as they come in. What do you put as, top priority compared to what you can put off later? How do you manage?
Top priority for any work order is life safety issues. So, if somebody calls and said there's wires exposed and showing, that's a life safety issue. Somebody could get hurt. And then we just start going down through there. If it's like the high rises, we get a report that there's a toilet backed up. There's 6 or 7, I believe, in there. We don't have to get there as quick. Now, if it's water flowing over the urinal, a sink, water fountain, that's an emergency, so we roll on that. Pretty much the same way with power. If it's a trip breaker, you go right there. Could be a lot of things that trip that breaker. Could be too many heaters on a circuit. Could have been students using hair dryers on one circuit, tripping it out that way. But we need to get on those quickly to make sure everything's all right.
And what's what would you say the hardest part of managing, the academics of the school
Mm-hmm.
with getting the things done that you need to?
A lot of it is in the classrooms and the labs and stuff. If we receive a work order, is making sure that we have the class schedule for that. That way we're not going in there and interrupting. There has been time over the years that they've had an issue, but they've told us to come on in and take care of it. So we're able to do that. But just finding that class schedule and see when that room's available. It might mean that one day I have one of my maintenance guys, this thing's booked 8 to 5, solid. I'm going to have you come in at 7. It gives you an hour to work on the problem. You get your 8 hours in, I'm going to send you home. So.
And with the residence halls, how when you approach, someone who lives there, how do you communicate to them that hey, I'm coming in to do this, just to make sure that they know what's going on?
With our work order system, and when they put it in, they can sometimes give us what times they will be there, and we'll try to be there at that time. That way we can talk with them. If there's personal belongings where something is that we need to work on, we'll have them move them.
And what is the difference between a corrective work order as opposed to a PM work order?
PM is kind of it shoots it out the way we have it set up twice a year on some equipment. Some equipment comes out monthly that you do a physical check of it. So that's when you go back and you do the checking of the belt, the filters, greasing the motor, greasing the bearings, looking at the system, make sure it's working out. Corrective work order is pretty much, it's broke. So now we got to go fix it. That's the main difference. The PMs is actually called preventative maintenance, and then the other one is the corrective.
And, since you've been here at Northwest, can you give me kind of, some kind of story that you've had that has kind of been odd or something like that?
It was in Dietrich Hall, don't remember the room. Had a circuit that kept tripping and couldn't figure it out. It was just going to an outlet. Every time they'd plug something in, it'd trip. Upon pulling the device out of the wall, couldn't find anything, putting it back together, and we used to have metal covers that went on them. And I found a problem. Somebody had taken the metal cover off and had glued a quarter on the inside of the cover and put the cover back on, and the outlet had loosened the outlet up just enough that when they'd plug something in, it'd shift just right and it'd short out, trip the breaker. So that's one of many.
When you get to those kind of issues, is that something you just kind of, just laugh at and be like, really? Or is it
No, not really. It's really not frustrating. It's kind of scares me in a way that somebody could have got hurt, doing it that way. It's really not frustrating because there's, no matter where you work, there's always something funny with what you're going to find at times. It's just the nature of the beast. So my main concern is that, somebody might have been hurt. So.
And is that something that you've, kind of developed over the years of knowing that, hey, I'm not here just to work, I'm here to help protect not only the students, the staff, and how have you balanced that with being able to, the emotions of, if someone were to get hurt?
Right. I kind of look at it like at home. with children and stuff that you have, you always want to make sure that things are safe. Never want to cobble anything together or more or less just put a Band-Aid on it to get it to working again. You always want to make sure that it's done safely, and whoever's coming up behind you is going to be able to know that this guy was here before me was safe. You can take all the safety precautions in the world, but there's always some time that Murphy's Law is going to stick out and grab you. But, it's just making sure that it's maintained safe here as his home.